I'm so happy. I have Vicki Weinberg with me from Tiny Chipmunk. She's the owner of Tiny Chipmunk and Vicki Weinberg Product Creation. And the minute she starts to speak, you will know that she is not from around here. She is all the way in the UK. Where exactly are you right now?
I'm in Kent, so
Oh,
that's like the southeast of the UK. They call it the Garden of England. It's very green and nice here.
so my husband, I will tell you right off the bat, will be very jealous, as will my son, who spent a year going to King's College for his master's. And we're big UK fans. W- my husband and I got married almost 30 years ago, and he had two friends from London, and we invited them, and we were like, oh, they won't come, they won't come. And sure enough, we were so happy when they did, and we've stayed in touch all these years. And maybe Graham is watching right now. Sometimes he watches, but we have to get back over there once this pandemic is over. I said one of the places I definitely want to travel. So hopefully we can meet in person.
Yeah, that I really hope that you can come over here really soon. I really
Yeah.
hope that this passes.
Well, right now I know you're in complete lockdown. We're going to talk because you have kids running around trying to go to school, trying to grab their mom, I know, and you're trying to work. Tell us a little bit about what Tiny Chipmunk is, and also, really, you kind of wear a lot of different hats.
I do. So I guess I'll start with Tiny Chipmunk first because that came first. So Tiny Chipmunk came about, and I might have to go back a tiny bit. I won't give you the life story, but just for context. So after my first child was born, I decided not to go back to my corporate career, and I retrained as a children and baby yoga teacher because I wasn't ready to I had quite bad postnatal depression. I wasn't really ready to leave him, get on the train to London, work long days. I wanted to do something that kind of fit with having a young child. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I fell pregnant again with my second child. But that pregnancy didn't go so well. I mean, I was healthy, baby was healthy, but physically, lots of aches and pains, struggled to get up and down off the floor. I basically just couldn't teach yoga anymore. It just wasn't feasible. My body just wasn't going for that. So I had to stop working and get people to cover my classes, which meant I spent a good couple of months not doing anything really before my baby was born. And by the time she was born, I'll be honest, I was climbing the walls. I'm not the kind of person to do nothing. And while I love being a mum and I loved having children, fortunately, my second child was a much easier baby. She slept and she was quite calm. And then I had one that was at preschool, so I did have some time. And around that time, I think she was about 6 weeks old, I was sort of digging out, all the bits and pieces you need for a baby, and realizing that a lot of stuff that I'd used for my son just wasn't worth using a second time because just looked quite used. And I was thinking, I used this, I'd get out a towel and think, I must have used this for like a month and it's tiny, but it looks hard and faded. I'm like, what's this about really? It just seemed so wasteful, and that's kind of what started me with Tiny Chipmunk, because I wanted to create products for children and babies that actually last. Products
Right.
really will last for years and years and can be passed on to siblings and cousins and friends, and
And
just
it makes sense
last.
because so
Yeah.
many things, I mean, I have three kids, and they're close enough in age where um, you want to be able to pass things down. You want good quality for the child you're using it with, but you also want to pass it down because it does go quickly. I mean, you move along usually pretty. Your kids grow, um, and you want nice quality.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was kind of the thing for me that, as you say, wanted to be good enough that it could be passed on, but also good quality for what time you were using it. So all my products are made of bamboo because it's a natural material. And I knew a little bit about bamboo. This is quite a weird connection, but because I was a yoga teacher, I used to wear all bamboo yoga gear because it doesn't smell and it doesn't absorb sweat. And it just, for me, it was a really good fabric. So when I started looking into fabrics to make my products for, it just seemed like the obvious choice. We also don't use any chemicals in the bamboo in Tiny Chipmunk products. It's just like, I feel it's as natural as I can get it, which is what I think you want for your baby's skin. Um, so all of my products that, yeah, sort of, so I have towels that are white, and they're not dyed white. They do look white, but if you look at them against something bleached, they're not quite as white, because I don't want to put bleach in them, because I'm kind of just all about making things as natural as possible, because I think that's really important for children. Um,
So I
yeah,
want, because as people are listening and you're obviously not in America, can they get your products on Tiny Chipmunk, and how does that work? Because
yeah, they can.
I went
They
to your
can.
beautiful site.
They can get them from my site, and I'll ship them over. That's not a problem if they want them. I sell on Amazon as well, not on Amazon.com at the moment, just in the UK. But possibly I'll go on Amazon.com maybe later this year. It's a funny, it's a funny start to the year. I had, lots of plans, as I'm sure lots of us did, but the reality of suddenly having two kids at home and having to homeschool, and work hours really condensed, means that this year won't pan out quite as expected,
Yeah,
perhaps.
and I think, like, that takes us into the other hat that you wear. Well, the many hats you wear. The mom hat is always I say, as a mom, we've been adapting regardless of a pandemic. As mothers, we adapt all the time. We knew that word,
Absolutely.
adapt and pivot. We didn't need a pandemic to tell us about that. But I think, your business of Vicki Weinberg product creation, I think really takes us into the tell us more about that, because I think that really has led us, really where you are today, and what you're doing, um, bringing us, full forward.
Yeah, sure. So at the time I started Tiny Chipmunk, I set up a blog because just wanted to document what I was doing. And I kind of thought, maybe my mum would read it and a handful of other people. But I kind of wanted just to share what I was doing and what I was learning in real time,
Hmm.
because it was a process of getting my first products ready to sell. Was a process. It wasn't easy. I spent a lot of time on Google and YouTube and listening to podcasts, and it was a slog, but I figured it out and I got there. And so I sort of documented all of this in lifetime. And then I carried on with that, over the years, I carried on with that blog. Maybe not, I didn't have as much to say, but I would update people on um, either what I was doing or things I was learning, things I was trying, and how they were going. And I started getting people contact me. Not just here in the UK, actually, people from the US as well, who've been reading the blog and following along and had questions because they were looking to do something similar. So I would get on the phone with someone or give them a bit of advice. And then I started getting people asking me if I could do more practical things for them. So, I want to sell on Amazon. Can you write me a product description? Or I'm really struggling with this. Can you help? So I was doing that. And then my husband said to me, you should be charging for that because this is your time. And I
Don't
resisted
you
a
love?
little bit.
Don't you love? I have that same
Yeah.
husband who will hear me on the phone and say, "Are you giving more advice? Are you giving free advice?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he'll be like, "You really should be charging for your time." And I'm like, our husbands must know each other, but I can respect that, because, the truth is that you really were offering people a service of how to market, how to sell, how to get their products out there. You really had taught yourself. You had learned from other places that, you had seen. You had been successful with Tiny Chipmunk, that was going. But I run into this, with clients all the time who have a product, who want to market their product, whether it be internally on their own retail sites. But the number one, question is, how do I get my information out there? How do I take it to the next level? Um, and, they often need the product, creation, which is the perfect name. How do I market to through Google or Amazon, eBay, Etsy? And one of the things I found when you go to read your blog, go to read more about what you do, one of the things you talk about is Etsy right for you? Is eBay right for you? Is, where to sell what you're selling? And I think that's always a great question, that people must have, do I use Etsy? Do I use eBay? You know, I guess, that may be a question I'll throw to you and say, how do you, I think I know the answer, but how do you answer that? If someone says Etsy, eBay, or now even, I don't know if it's popular there, but here everybody loves, Facebook Marketplace, even.
Yeah, that hasn't taken off as much in the UK, actually, Facebook Marketplace. Instagram shopping has. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's something you guys do, but
Uh-huh.
Instagram shopping's really taken off. I'll be really honest as well. So I wouldn't say I'm a marketing expert, and I wouldn't say I'm necessarily an expert on all channels either. I'm definitely an Amazon expert. I don't mind calling myself that. I've got a lot of experience on Amazon. I think where I sort of differ from perhaps some other people is that I really focus on the kind of the bit from having an idea to actually having something to sell, and that obviously includes where you sell it and how you sell it.
Mhm.
Like, you know, because I think that's often. I mean, of course, the sort of how to market your product is something that I can help with, as I'm not a marketing expert, but I can definitely advise on that, particularly for Amazon. Where a lot of people get stuck or don't even start actually, and the things I get asked most often is that whole, I've got an idea but I can't work out how to get from this idea to actually having a product, because that's the process that isn't clearly mapped out anywhere. Is different, depending on who you speak to, and I think that's the bit that people can find really tricky. And I'd even go back a little bit there as well and say that, um, a piece that people often miss is actually looking at whether their idea is a good idea. And I don't mean, when I say a good idea, I don't think there's really any such thing as a bad idea, but whether they've got a product idea that's people are going to give them money for.
Okay.
Because something that I really don't ever want to see is someone spending a lot of time and energy into creating something and nobody buys it.
Mhm.
And often that is a lot to do with how it's for, how the concept of the product in the first place. And sometimes someone can just make a few tweaks and then it will be the perfect product and there will be a market for it. um, but not always. And I think that's something that is, I think, possibly because it's a bit scary to do. Validating your idea means you have to talk about your idea, potentially tell people about it, get feedback, and that can be really hard. But there are ways of doing it without having to go out and say, I've got this thing, what do you think? There are, you know you could do a lot of research online. You can do a lot of it without talking to people. You have to talk to people eventually, but
Well, I
um
think that sometimes people, and I say this a lot, is people have an idea or they want to, or a product, but they also have to be ready to invoke a team to help them. And sometimes that's hard where, um, they have to bring in people to help them. And that can be challenging too. They're trying to do everything. And so it's good to bring in marketing people or people to help them where to put their product, how to design things, or whatever the tools they need are to take them to the next level of getting their product out there. Just having a good idea or having a product doesn't make it saleable. How
yeah.
do people find you and get your resources? First of all, to be able to read your blog, which you have a lot of great content. What's the best
Yeah,
way to?
sure. So if you go to vickyweinberg.com, and perhaps after this I will sort of paste a link into your Facebook page so that
Yeah,
people can find that easily, because it's not an easy name, but perhaps to spell.
I will put it in there as I will
Oh,
absolutely put
amazing,
it in
thank
there
you.
when I
Um,
share.
and I also have a podcast. It's called Bring Your Product Ideas to Life. And it's available anywhere you get podcasts. That's probably quite a nice place to start. I mean, I'm all about really trying to give friendly, practical advice. If you want someone on your side, I'm here. As I say, there's a lot. The blog and the podcast. There's loads of free stuff on there, which is a great starting point. And if that's not enough, you can get in touch with me. We can have an hour on Zoom and we can chat and see if I can help you more. Yeah, I'm not about the hard sell. I just genuinely want to help people, and if I can get on the phone for you for an hour and I can make a difference and help you move forward, then brilliant. But yeah, the podcast is a good place to start. I give lots of advice, and I also speak to other small business owners, so people who have their own products, who've sort of set up their business from scratch, so that we can all learn from each other, and also so that those smaller businesses who might find it otherwise harder to kind of get out there have a platform to talk about themselves and their business as well, because I also think that's really important. Just
And
give
I
people
love
a
that
place to
because
share.
yeah. I love that. Sorry, I didn't. That excites me because I think, when I do these Facebook Lives and I learn so much. So selfishly that, I always say I love doing them because it's an opportunity. I hope that people are listening and learning, and I know that I get to learn so much. But I love that you have an opportunity for other businesses and people with products. So if you're listening and I know that there's a lot of small businesses and people who are growing their businesses do listen. Vicky's an amazing resource. Go to, and I'll put the link, it's vickyweinberg.com in my post today. Go read her blogs. There's just some really great ideas. I know I get asked all the time, how do I get on Amazon? Should I use eBay? Should I use Etsy? How do I market better? I'm a small business. I can't necessarily afford this or that, but you know, as I'm growing, I'm learning, and I say to people, you have to do research. You have to seek out people to help you. You have to grab things that are free,
Yeah,
all the resources that you can. Um, but then you also have to take time to invest in some of the things that are worth the money to invest in to grow your business. And I think that that's sometimes hard for people to understand, but it is worth the value of doing.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. I work with a lot of people who are just starting out, and often they don't have the money to invest. But it's sometimes it's amazing that I have a whole range of offerings. But sometimes, as I say, I can spend just an hour with someone, which isn't that expensive, and it really helps. You can really cover a lot of ground in that time and really move
Mhm.
forward. And also, I should say, if there's anyone listening who has a small products business who'd like to be on the podcast in future, then I'd love to hear from you there too. Because as I say, I'm all about sharing your stories, helping to promote what you're doing and your products. So I'm always open for that.
I love that. I've got a couple people, so I'm going to be in touch with you, and I'd love to hear that.
Yeah,
So
do.
that,
I mean, yeah, I
that's,
mean, I won't be recording for a few weeks because I'm kind of on a bit of a schedule at the moment with the kids at home and things like that.
yeah, no,
But
I
yeah,
understand that. I hope the UK opens up because we happen to here in the United States sort of keep an eye on what's going on there. As you know, we certainly watch what's happening with the virus, and we wish you lots of good health and safety there. What happens there seems to happen here, so we are all eyes on you all.
no,
So
thank you.
stay, good health to you all. I really thank you for taking this time, especially with the kids at home. And somehow they're very quiet.
They're two stories away from me, I'll be honest. They're in front of the TV and I'm
they're
behind
out
a
doing
closed door.
something. But I look forward to talking to you soon, and be healthy and safe. So thank you. I will put Vicky's contact information up on my Facebook post today.
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, I'm always happy to hear from anybody. So, and thank you for anyone who's taken the time for listening. Thank you for inviting me to be here. I've really enjoyed it. And if I can help anyone in any way, you'll know where to find me.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Bye
Bye.
bye.